Travis Wayne Goodsell. During my, what was supposed to be my indefinite detention, hidden from the rest of Utah, as the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints was on a vengeance against me for being a translator, there came across one day a magazine which contained the picture, the bridesmaid dress, and an advertisement within the magazine. I ripped it out, hid it in my cell, and was able to sneak it out when I was finally released. And so this serves as a reminder of my rebellion during my unjust occupancy or incarceration. But it's been a long while, hasn't it, since I did Mormon temple porn videos, and they were quite popular. I don't know how popular they still are. I turned them into an Amazon book and Kindle version, and those did fairly well too. But I've told you the story also of how, as a child, growing up as a Mormon boy with strict Mormon parents, or as we say, Luciferian Mormon parents, taking away agency. That's what conservative is. That's what strict is. It means you're a servant of Lucifer. It's not complicated. If you take away agency, you're Lucifer. You're a follower of Lucifer. And so, growing up, I was like scared. They put the fear of God in me, and they put the fear of getting caught and exposed. Oh, I'm so embarrassed. Oh, I'm so mortified that I got caught having desires for women. And because of that fear, I couldn't let my parents see that I was attracted to women. And as a result, during high school years, they thought I was gay, because I would never bring home a woman, never be caught with looking at women and going, wow, she's hot. And my dad coming in with a Farrah Fawcett, famous Farrah Fawcett poster. Let me see if I can find that. I'll add that here as well. I was a little too young for Farrah Fawcett. She was more my dad's generation. Jennifer Connelly from Labyrinth was more my generation of women. So he did not understand. Okay, so let's see. Farrah Fawcett poster. There it is. They had it in the thing to look. Oh, yep, there it is. It's so creepy having your dad come in. Doesn't she look hot? Doesn't she? I want to be gay. I don't want to be in. Let's find the better quality one here. They got some that are cut off. Yeah, see, that's just a partial. She's got pokies. Okay, maybe this one, I guess. So yeah, she's too old for me. I was never encouraged to go after cougars. Oh, look, there's a little tiny boy looking at her poster. Alright, so let's add it in. Da, 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 da. Anyway, I was never into blondes growing up. It wasn't until I dated a blonde that I decided, you know what, blondes ain't so bad after all. Anyway, as you can see, this fear causes many problems. As I wanted to be a women's fashion designer. You know, I wanted to design bridal or bridesmaid dresses, just like that. And yes, I guess swimsuits and anything else that women would wear. And but I had to keep it a secret from my parents and from any member of the church or my family and anybody that would expose me as being evil and perverted. There's the scripture about whosoever looketh on a woman has denied the faith. Oh, I've looked on women. Have I denied the faith? Am I no longer loyal to the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints? Oh no, I'm in the temple for the first time before 1991. They're telling me that I have to kill myself. Oh no, I've looked on women. Yeah. Law of chastity. All men have violated it, and therefore we all must kill ourselves, right? That's the kind of fear the church puts in us. And it's horrifying. And so, yeah, finally we got bishops to follow a script when interviewing kids for temple worthiness. But I mean, my God, why did it take people standing up for kids rather than Jesus Christ, who's supposedly the head of the church, coming down and saying, listen, guys, don't treat kids different than the adults. So anyway, in Psalms 115, their idols are silver and gold. Silver and gold, silver and gold. That comes from Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer with Yukon Cornelius. Won't go into that story. It was a news was covering a story, and the person said, gave them their name as Yukon Cornelius, and then the reporter didn't catch on. But the work of men's hands, art. All idols are a form of art. Whether they be silver and gold, other metals, whether they be wood, whether they be stone with carvings, or whether they be paper, canvas, whatever art medium, they're all idols. They're representations of actual living entities, I guess, unless you're drawing a picture of a rock. I mean, that could have been the first pet rock. Could have made millions of dollars off of selling a pet rock. Back in the, what was it, 80s or was it 70s when the pet rock came out? But that's all they are. Art. They are the work of men's hands. An artistic work. They have mouths, but they speak not. They have eyes, but they see not. They have ears, but they hear not. Noses have they, but they smell not. They have hands, but they handle not. Feet have they, but they walk not. Neither speak they through their throat. They who trusteth in them. Well, here they're saying, they who make them are like unto them. So is everyone that trusteth in them. The people that were making them under the belief that they had magical powers. That's why my favorite apocryphal story, which Spencer W. Kimball, kept out of our Bible, as Joseph Smith had it in his Bible, why don't we have it in ours, President Kimball, is the story of Bel. It's often called Bel and the Dragon, but they're two separate stories. And in Bel, it's about, I think it's Nebuchadnezzar also, but the king of Babylon, as the Jews are held captive, and the character named Daniel is there to defend the cause of the Jews, to stand firm against the assimilation of the Babylonians, to make them a Semitic nation, to utilize their calendar system of the lunar calendar, and to adopt the language as Semitic, and to have holidays that are Babylonian in origin, and oops. So Jews are Hamido, not Semitic. But Daniel sees the king, as apparently he gets to see the king on a regular basis, and the king says, "Our God is great," and it's a statue in the Holy of Holies, and he says he eats the food we put out for him every evening. We come in the morning, the food is gone. Our God is great and powerful. Almighty God, we worship thee. You are almighty. And Daniel says, okay, whatever. Humor me. Let's spread this dust substance, some kind of a dirt or dust substance on the ground, and we'll have the food placed down as normal, and we'll come back in the morning to see what happens. And the king sealed it himself, the Holy of Holies, so that nobody could get in. And in the morning they came in, the seal was not broken, so they broke the seal, they went in. The food has been eaten, Almighty Bel, we worship thee. And then Daniel said, look on the ground, footprints. And so they followed the footprints. It led to a secret passageway in the Holy of Holies. So they went into the secret passageway, they followed it, it went out of the temple and into the tents of the priests who had been deceiving the king about the reality of the God that they worshipped. And therefore the Jewish God, Yahweh, is the true and only living God, not that future Christian Jesus. And so the king killed the priests for their deception against the king. And that was supposed to be the moral of the lesson, is that there is only one true God, and it's the Jewish God of Yahweh. Sorry, Christians. You're a little late. There's already one and only one true God. But there you have an idol in which people believe had magical powers of human capabilities. You know, and I guess you could say the first robot, the sentient AI robot. But it's not human. It's still a work of man's hands. And so people are all freaked out. Oh, AI, artificial intelligence. Oh, man, we're tampering with the laws of God. No, we're not. It's not real. Data is just a machine. He is not a man. Even though he had the daughter on the two daughters actually on Picard, it's all just science fiction, which is our current modern day art medium with photography and then videography. And now we have digital with computer technologies and streaming and stuff like that. And we're able to actually convert the human image into an artistic form without actually carving or painting or drawing on our own. For cartooning, yeah, you got to do some. And you got to work at the computer to get it to function right for digital. But photography, you have to process the film, and videography, the same thing. But Okay, yeah, that's not breaking news. But it's still an art form, even though people are the ones being duplicated into the art form. It's the same thing with paintings and carvings and all that. You have an actual real image and person that's being used as the art form in the artistic work. And so nothing has changed all these millennia. Nothing. Just the manner of art, the graph that is used for artistic representation. And of course, everybody immediately jumps onto the concept of, oh, porn! Everybody jumps to porn with every new technology. And you can see that in my generation, as in my days, magazines were the evil. Pornography, they're horrible, it's evil. It causes men to go wild and crazy and commit sex crimes and all sorts of perversions. And then videos came out, and then they were forgetting about magazines and going after videos, and then DVDs with the extra features. And then, of course, digital. It's just, where did all this come from? Evangelicals. I focus on Mormons, but Mormons cross over into this evangelical realm to support evangelical idolatrous doctrines, because that's what the psalm is talking about. Everyone who trusteth in idols is an idol worshiper. Even it doesn't matter if it's for blessings or for cursings. If you trust in art as having power over you, now yes, a work of art can move you emotionally. That does not mean it controls you. They have no power. You know, the image itself, even on videos, while we can have streaming services or FaceTime, whatever it's called, but it's a digital image. But we have to, if it's a recording, we can't communicate with it. It already has a pre-programmed recorded information. If you don't conform to what was programmed, it will not be able to reply back to you. Thus, it's the same as an idol. But with communication devices, we can actually communicate even though our voice is digitized, or even our image is digitized. We're able to speak through the digitization. Isn't that the a movie? I can't think of it, where you become a blue person in that digital viral universe. There's Keanu Reeves, that other trilogy series as well. Or Tron, that was another variation of it. I can't remember the names, but I mean, those are all science fiction, and we can't freak out and panic as the Sixth Sense, not Sixth Sense, or Sixth Man, the Sixth Day, I think it's called, with Arnold Schwarzenegger, where he is cloned. They've cloned humans. It's supposed to be illegal to clone a human, but the government still, a company is still working on cloning people, and he clones the quarterback, as we find out in the first scenes, as the quarterback has this superior computer technology to inform him of everything that's going on. I don't know how he's able to play the game if he has to read all that. But, you know, it needs to be something that gets implanted into your brain rather than interfering with your view. But yeah, he's murdered, or he's killed by the crushing blow of the opponents tackling him, and he makes a speedy recovery because this company has cloning technology, and it can take your brain and put it into the new version so that you have all your memories intact with the new body. But Schwarzenegger was big on, we're all gonna violate the laws of God by creating these monstrosities of human nature. But yeah, the brain is who our essence is. It's not our heart. That comes from the brain as well. And it's not our body. Because, is it Mars Attacks, where they put the human heads in the alien body things? I think even Kirk, the original Star Trek, had an episode where human heads were placed in these jar things, and they were able to communicate. But again, cloning technology has freaked everybody out. Oh no, we can clone. You can't put in a spirit of God. No, only God can do that. No, pay attention to how they did it. They did not clone sheep. All they did was took a female egg, strip it of its nucleus, and then put in the desired sheep to have multiplied, and put it in the empty nucleus of the female sheep, and thus produced a twin. Twin, not a clone, a twin. And so it would have its own identity. But people don't get it. When sperm enters the egg, fractures the egg in half, becomes identical twins. When two eggs by two different sperm, then you get just regular twins, maternal twins versus fraternal twins. So we should have been taught this as part of our sex ed. I do recall this, so I must have paid attention to that part of it in 5th grade, which was a little too late for me to learn about my body, and so I was like, I don't want to be here. I don't want to look at the dissected cartoon of my thing. We never saw the women. We don't know. We're not taught about a woman's body. That remains the great mystery. A woman. What is feminine hygiene? The mystery continues. And as a result, many problems and chaoses ensue. And so, where did this all get thrown into the porn as an idol worship nightmare? Well, it was the evangelicals. In 1900, they pursued legal action to have creationism taught in the school systems. Creation out of nothing. Creatio ex nihilo. And they wanted to support the literal English translation of the Hebrew, because the Hebrew says, no, that's not what this says. The Greek version, the Septuagint, yeah, not our Hebrew. Our Hebrew, it's when God began to create the heavens and the earth being without form and void, blah, blah, blah. So it's a different understanding for the Jews, even though their translation is also incorrect. The vowel points make it very clear the B at the beginning has to be cut off. It's not supposed to be there. They do not start sentences that way anciently. That was an added thing to try to deal with the Septuagint version that was created. But after evangelicals lost, they decided to go on an idolatrous rampage, declaring what is good and what is evil in terms of the outward appearance of idols, the works of men's hands. And so photographs, which had already been out for quite a while now, they then decided to say, these pictures of women are pornography. Prior to that, in the late 1800s, pornography first began to exist, but not in regards to sexuality. That was evangelicals who turned obscenity into body shaming of women specifically. Not too much in regards to men. Men are still allowed to go topless and show much of their bodies, whereas if a woman were to equally do that, oh, evil! Get behind me, scarlet letter! And it's just horrifying how evangelicals use their defeat to teach creationism to create out of nothing a definition for a word that itself was created from two Greek words that were never used together by the Greeks. And so the Supreme Court came out not too many decades ago and declared that there are three criteria that must be met. All three must be met in order to indicate that something is not or is pornographic. And the third one has to do with it has no aesthetic value. Anything made by the works of men's hands is aesthetic by very definition. And so the Supreme Court, despite evangelicals not catching on, because they caught the first two, oh yeah, it's whatever I feel like, whatever the community feels like, yeah, I like this, yeah, ban, censor, destroy. And so yeah, in southern Utah, or Utah County, you won't see women's magazines at the cash registers, and if you do, they're all covered up anyway. And the billboards, no, you won't see any women on billboards. They all have to be church related. And yeah, that's how wrong it is that people are body shaming, because that's what they're doing. When you say that such an image is loathsome, is evil, pornographic, obscene, any kind of an emotional adjective to attach to it, you are giving it power that it does not have. And as a result, you become the idol worshiper, as you condemn others, as you guilt trip others, destroying little kids' lives from becoming a woman's fashion designer when they grow up. Having to hide their shame, and having Freudian psychiatrists say, how many times do you a day? What? What kind of question is that? I'm here because of a school shooting. Do you feel guilty? I'm here for a school shooting? Am I in the wrong room? Are you the wrong guy? You're supposed to be a grief counselor? Shouldn't you have a standard list for my worthiness interview? So, yeah, it's horrifying. And it's gone to the extremes now, as fake science has taken over, with evangelicals merging with psychiatry to form a pseudoscience. Psychiatry is already a pseudoscience in and of itself, and Christianity is anti-science. And then they merge together to create all these claimed science studies. Who's paying them? And what is their purpose for the study? What standard measurements were they using? But if you pay attention to some videos that talk about the effects of pornography, it's nothing different than if a couple had sex. It's the same function, the same results, the same mental functioning. And for them to think that they can get away with it is just horrifying. And it's ugly and disgusting what they think they can do to destroy our society by shaming women and shaming people who find women beautiful. Not in the creepy manner in which Senator Orrin Hatch, said about the psychiatrist who was testifying as to her sexual assault by Kavanaugh, as he said, well, she's very pleasing to look upon. Oh my God, you're a Mormon. What the hell did you just do? What if she wasn't pleasing to look upon? Would you disregard her claims? You're too ugly to be raped. The whole criminal part of it is different. We're just talking about the images, the artistic value. I'm not even treading on the criminal part of the whole thing. But evangelicals want to mix the two. Because if you hear somebody get arrested for a criminal violation, they always say, we found porn. And that's how they think they can justify it. And it's horrifying because the two don't mix. And they refuse to accept that they don't mix. Because they have to find some excuse that they can ban, thinking that that'll solve the problem. And it won't. And that's what they refuse to accept. You can't ban and deny our sexual natures. Women once a month. Men, whenever they get full. It cannot be stopped. You can do certain surgeries, but other than that, no, not the biological functioning. Cannot be stopped. And so, that's the horror of all this, is that people go way off the deep end in destroying people's lives with the incorrect thinking of idolatry. And we just need to chill, relax, don't do it when you want to get to it. To make this go even longer for you, as I'm sure you're all riveted to the seat of your pants, the definition of porn comes from prostitute. And of course, all the modern people who hear that go, aha, see, Travis? Prostitute is two Greek words. Pro, before. Stitute, statue. Before the statue. So, yes, women who sold their bodies because they didn't have a man to take care of them and they weren't working in the temple figured out, hey, I can make money and survive by selling my body, by hanging out at the statues, which typically were around the temples, but yeah, that's where it came from. But in and of itself, it's harmless. It's not sexual in meaning. It was more of a I can't think of the word. When teenagers, they alter definitions. It blows my mind now. I can't remember. But yeah, institute, for example, stitute, learning from stones. stone carvings, stone writing, stone communications. By the way, the Egyptians, the first language, first culture on earth, utilized the human body to communicate. Each body part, and yes, each body part, even the sexual organs, were utilized to communicate to other people. And so they draw out the sexual organ. The Assyrians used their two different symbols, which were the sexual organs of male and female. This is how they communicated. And for us to have de-evolved to the point where we can't even say the names of the sexual organs because we're so afraid, we're so paranoid, we're so scared of a almighty being who's going to strike us down and deny us entrance into heaven or the highest degree of the celestial kingdom if we dare speak their names. And of course, critics love to humiliate Mormons by going right to facsimile number 2, which has a whole bunch of male organs. You know that? Yeah. Min sitting on his throne. The adjective for the type of bull on the outer rim of the circle. And even in the temple that Joseph Smith says, to be had in the temple. Yeah, there's that in there too. And so Brigham Young, yeah, he had scantily clad Eves, as he was the one who designated Adam as having more than one wife, more than just Lilith and Eve, but other women as well. And that's horrifying of what he did. But it would have made temple fun. So yeah, they want to bring back polygamy. So don't be surprised if after 2024, when the United States is laid desolate and Putin allows, or China, I think I figured out that it's going to be China that's going to possess the land, not Putin. He just wants to buy the uranium. But yeah, America is set for destruction. They've already determined that we are unworthy as Western heathens and must therefore be destroyed. But apparently the church has made some kind of a deal to maintain Utah, to be able to sell bear's ears to the Putin. Oh, God. So, yeah, and Brigham Young had the brothels and all that other stuff. So, don't think the church is all innocent because they're trying to protect our virtue. The For Strength of the Youth, which they're changing the name of the children's or the young adult magazine to For Strength of the Youth. You know, it's all about idolatry, idol worship. How dare you women expose your shoulders? Don't you dare show that belly button. We got I Dream of Jeannie canceled because she showed her belly button in an episode. We will cancel you too. Just the body shaming and the hatred towards our bodies, which are supposed to be created in the image of Heavenly Mother and Father. You know, even Moroni, Joseph Smith could see it. Read it. Joseph Smith history. I could see into his bosom that he was naked. Yep. And so if you could see into his bosom because the cloth was that transparent or sheer or whatever the term is, yeah, he could see that he was a man. And he says, a man appeared in my room, called himself Moroni, after Willard Richards had edited it from originally saying Nephi. So, alrighty. I think that's it. I think that covers the bulk of the information. But yeah, immodesty, likewise, is another emotional triggered word that indicates that an object has power and therefore is preaching the doctrine of idol worship. Because that's what you're doing. When you're using some kind of an emotional adjective to describe something, you are creating an idol to be worshipped. You see it on liberal news, especially on the other conservative news. They all do it. They're not supposed to, but they do it anyway. You know, the brazen attack by the conservatives, or the liberal snowflakes. You know, those are all just trying to create division and contention. That's what you're doing when you call something an idol, call a person an idol. And you hear it in the rape cases that go before the courts. Oh, she was asking for it, Your Honor. She was dressed a certain way. She was drunk and blah blah blah. And I was drunk and I'm innocent because I was drunk, and you have to let me go. If the booze isn't high enough, you must acquit, or something like that. So, horror stories galore.